Hello everybody, it's Natalie from Creative Makers and I'm so happy that you're here. Hopefully you got my text this morning. I tried to remind you all about having the interview today. I was hoping that more people would come because these things are so awesome. Anyway, I'm sitting here with Gina Herrera. She is a sculptor amongst many other things. And I found her because I was at Juliana Poldi's gallery, Golden Pine, and her work was there, and it was just too interesting and too fun not to take a look at. And Juliana was like, you should interview her. So here I am. Hi.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me be here today.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor for you to make the trek to Bakersfield and be with me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. So I'm going to ask you the first question I usually ask people, and then it is just going to run from there. And then sometimes people, hi, Tamara says hello. People start chiming in.
Oh, okay.
And they'll start,
hi, Tamara.
They might start asking questions. All right. So my first question always is, tell me about what it looked like for you when you were a kid creatively. How did it unfold?
Well, when I was a kid, I was always very, very curious. I love nature. I mean, I grew up in Chicago, so obviously it was a concrete jungle, but there was a lot of trees. It was very green. I remember taking my dog for walks. That was one of my most memorable memories, and I would walk with my dog, and I would sing to him, and I was all alone, you know, walking, because I'm an only child, so I would walk my dog. My dog was like my little brother, and we would walk all the way to McDonald's, and because it was kind of warm, and then I would go to McDonald's and ask for a cup of water, and then the manager kind of knew me, like, oh, you need one for your dog? I'm like, yeah, he's outside, so, but I remember as a child, my mom and dad bought me like this little table. I think it was orange and green. It had like patterns on the table, and it was two little chairs, and I would just sit there and I would draw angels. I would always draw angels and angels, and I don't know.
Funny. I had that experience.
Really?
When I was a kid. Yeah, weird. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I don't know why. I never knew why I would draw angels. It's kind of, now maybe I kind of understood why, you know, why I drew angels, and I would just color, and I always dreamt as a child that I wanted to be a famous artist. And that's still my dream, and I'm still striving for it. I'm still pushing it, because I think it's important for everybody to fulfill their dreams, or at least chase their dreams, and then try it, because you know, you don't want to die and never fulfill anything in your life. You want to feel some sense of accomplishment before you pass on. And if they decide, hey, you got to go back again and relearn different lessons and things like that. So,
So what do you think? Tell me about what you think the angels, why you were drawing the angels when you were a kid.
Maybe I saw them. Maybe they were part of my journey. Maybe, you know, I feel that they are. I always feel very protected. I always feel like when I'm going across country in my car, you know, I always feel I have this big band of, you know, angels with me. I always feel protected. And I think there is a kinship. I feel like I am their vessel, like I'm their messenger and things like that. And so like yesterday, you know, my dad passed away, you know, several years ago, and I was standing in a parking lot waiting for this car to move because I was saving the parking space for my husband, and a hummingbird just came, zip, looked at me, and flew away. And I'm like, hey, Dad, what's going on? Hummingbirds don't do that. And the hummingbird looked at me, so I always believe that's my angelic connection to upstairs.
A little sign.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We're still here.
We're still here.
Do you, so when you were a kid, did you gravitate towards drawing, towards painting, towards making things? I mean, how did it start?
Well, my poor mom tried every single thing. She was very wanting me to try ballet. Well, no, she never went to ballet, but I tried piano lesson, and I got kicked out because they gave me a cardboard, and that's how I practice at home. And I'm like, then when I went there was an actual piano, so I went crazy, and it drove the teacher crazy, so I got kicked out. Then I went gymnastic class, and when they tell me to do a cartwheel, I kept doing somersaults and somersaults, so I got kicked out. Ice skating, I did that, and I wasn't very good. And then I stand in the middle of the ice skating ring, and they had to call my mom because I didn't listen to the teacher. So I was sort of rebellious as a child.
You think?
Yes, and everything that I tried, I was never happy until one day when I was about 9 years old. I had a friend, and she was taking art classes. So she told me about it. I'm like, really? Oh my God. So I ran home. I'm like, Mom, I really want to take art lessons. And my mom said, okay, let's try it out. And we'll give you one time because, you know, she already kind of knew.
She knew your number.
Yeah. So I went there, and then it was all kids my age. And I went home. My mom said, well, how was it? I said, well, Mom, it was great, but the kids were driving me crazy. I can't concentrate. So I said, Mom, is there any way that maybe I could be in the adult class? So she said, well, let's try. So she went talk to the instructor, and then the instructor said, well, let's try it out. And ever since then, I was in the adults with, 40, 50-year-olds, and I loved it because they were quiet. They used to play classical music, and there were certain songs that I heard yesterday that I'm like, oh, that what I remember when I was a kid. And I would sit there and draw and paint and did pastels, and I loved it because I would talk. I don't know. I think I was an old soul.
I love this though that you asked for something more and you got it, and it was exactly what you needed.
Yes, being around the adults really helped me because I remember there was a lady named Caroline. She passed away, and I was really sad. And she was a teacher, and I don't know. She always believed in me. I always had somebody that believed in me. And I mean, she probably is watching now. From heaven. That they like, oh my God, look at how she's doing and stuff. And I always wish I was able to get in contact with my art teacher too. It was private classes because at that time it was expensive. It was not cheap for my parents, but they knew that I really loved it, and I was so excited. I would go to school, and at night my dad would drop me off, and I would go, and I was like all excited. And I'm like, look at Daddy, look at Mom, what I did. I won few awards and things like that. So that was really where my journey really started to begin. After doing my angel drawings and doing that, and then going to elementary school, I would do posters. And I had Mrs. Griebel, Mrs. Smith, who really believed in me, and Mrs. Davis. So there were certain teachers that I remember that really really believed in me.
Made a difference.
Oh yeah. That they said, you're going to make it one day, Gina.
This is a funny question to ask sort of in conjunction with this, because Gina is a teacher and she teaches art, and I just found out. So I sort of remember their words and try to encourage your kids the same way that you were encouraged? Do you think about that?
I always thought about Mrs. Griebel and Mrs. Smith. They were very strict. And I'm kind of like that.
Are you like that?
Yeah, I'm very like that. And I don't know, maybe it's that because of that, and also being in the military and things like that. And I don't know, but it was called tough love. Like they were tough, but they always were kind. They always were, I remember going to school and chewing gum, and then they looked at me, and I'm like, oh, stuck it on my nose. At that time we had to put our gum on our nose, but I never held it against them. I mean, I understood their rules and what they were trying to teach me, that rules are rules and things like that. And that's kind of like what I do with my students. There are rules because life has rules. You go to work, there's rules and stuff like that. So I think it's important.
Yeah. So did you end up going to college and studying art in as a major?
Well, funny thing was, when I got in high school, I started getting into home economics, and I started sewing, but I was going to go to art school, but then I'm like, well, how am I going to support myself? I kind of had this idea, and it wasn't my parents. They didn't tell me not to do it, and it was just me, thinking about how am I going to support myself. So that's when I started thinking about going to fashion school. So I went to fashion school. I graduated high school when I was 16. And so I went to, because I hated high school. I hated high school because I didn't fit in. I tried, sports and this, and never got in. And so I went to fashion school, and I got my AA.
Which school did you go to?
It was the Oh my God, I can't really remember. It was Rayvo College of Design, which doesn't even exist anymore. It's
Okay,
it's
I was
long
gonna say I never heard of that because I went to FITM.
Yeah, that doesn't even my school went out of business. It used to be in the old Sun Times building in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And so I went there and I got my degree, and then I went and I had my own little business, and I started making clothes. But then I don't know, I was very naive and trusting, and kind of got really sad. And then I just said,
why did you get sad?
Because I was getting taken advantage of, you know, and I just like, I'm trying to do something with my life, and people were cheating me out of money. So then I decided, well, I'm just going to go to the military. So one day I just told
That's a big jump. That is a big jump from being an artist and making clothes and having your own business to, well, that's it. I'm just going to go in the military.
Yeah, I think I kind of was fed up. My dad was in the military. He was in the Navy. And I'm an only child. I'm a girl, of course. And I don't know, I just always had a curiosity of it. And so I went in the Navy, and long story short, 25 years later...
You stayed in the Navy for 25 years?
No, I was in the Navy for about a few years, and then they closed the base, and then I went in the Army, and I did that for several years, and I got deployed. And then after that, I went in the Air Force. I know. I went in the Air Force.
You tried all the branches?
Except the Marines and the Coast Guard. I didn't do those two.
Is that a thing? Do people do that? They jump around from...
Not normally. Mostly everybody stay in one branch and they do that. But I don't know. I've always been a curious person. I wanted to try. So I went in the Air Force, and I became an MP, which is an SP in their term, military police. And that's when 9/11 happened, and I got deployed again. And so long story short, that happened. And then after that... I decided, well, I want to be an officer. So, and in the Air Force, it was very difficult. You had to find a position, and if it was out of state, you would have to fly there. And I'm only in the reserves, which is 1 weekend a month. I'm like, I'm not spending all my money to go somewhere. So I went back in the Army, and then I got direct commission, and then I retired as a major.
Oh, so direct commission means they just took you as an officer.
Well, I went in as enlisted, and then I had to put a packet, and then I went through a board, and then they decided if I was, had the qualifications, and then if I had qualified, then they say, okay, we're gonna board you, but you have to go to school and you have to pass the officer school. So.
Wow.
Yes.
I was not expecting to hear any of this.
Yes.
My mind is like... Blah, 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 blah. So do you think that all the time that you spent in the military, in the various branches, that helped shape your art world?
Well, during my time in the military, I didn't really do a lot of art. I dabble. I mean, when I was in Germany, I went to art museums. I cultured myself and things like that. I think it was, during a certain part of my military career, I was thinking to go back to art school, and I did. And that's when 9/11 happened. And so when 9/11 happened, obviously I couldn't go to school for a year. And then when I came back, I went back to school, I graduated. And then the Iraq conflict came, and I got deployed. And that's when it really I start to think more about my art career, like what I want to do. And I remember being in Iraq, there was this big, thousands and thousands of acres of U.S. trash that we left behind. And there was Humvees, propane tanks, trucks, all kinds of stuff. It was unbelievable, the amount of trash. And I'm wearing my uniform thinking that we're the greatest country, which we're not. And I'm thinking like, oh, so we're leaving all this crap behind and we're just letting this country deal with it. And so I kind of thought about it, because at that time I was thinking to go get my master's. And so that really started thinking, I really thought about it. And when I came back, I went to Philadelphia for my master's, and I went as a painter, as an oil painter. And I'm thinking like, well, I'm using toxic material. I'm using oil paint and turpentine. So that's when I start to think about like, how am I going to become an environmental artist if I'm using toxic materials? And so that's when I started going around looking at trash. Trash became my best source of material. And so I started using styrofoam, because styrofoam takes a long time to biodegrade, and I made like these small little figures, and I made installations.
And you decided to use styrofoam because it was available. You just wanted to have a use for it rather than just being in a landfill.
Yes.
Very clever.
Yes. So that's how my journey evolved into making the work I make today.
So you've been at this kind of work, you were telling me, roughly 10 years?
Yes.
Like this
yes.
version?
Yeah, this is about 10 years, because I got my degree in 2012, I think. Yeah, I think so.
So talk to me about your work, because your work is really whimsical. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to step back here, but this is a sculptural piece that's on the ground. It's got metal wire.
Steel rod.
Steel rod. Mm-hmm. And it's got all of this stuff going on. You can't even see it. I'll show you more later. But it's got pieces of fabric wrapped around it, and pieces of wire, colored wire, and things strung through it. They're really fanciful and beautiful. They look alien in some ways. They're also like childlike. They're gorgeous. Tell me how you came up with these concepts and what you're trying to get out emotionally when you're making this stuff. I mean, even this piece right here is really interesting.
Well, I know a lot of times, a lot of artists, they pre-plan, they sit there and they think about how they're going to build. I play. Basically, that's what it is. I think I'm going back to my childhood roots, because in this time and age, there's so much chaos. And playing, to me, and being silly is my source of happiness, and that's what I do. And I love nature. Nature is like my biggest inspiration. And when I hike or bike or camp and go to various locations, I go there and I just like, wow, I'm so intrigued by the color, the texture. I mean, nature is the greatest artist and things like that. So that's probably one of my big inspiration. And also thinking about what is my message with my work. And my message with my work is that as humans, we are the biggest consumers of stuff, natural resources and goods like clothing. And now, now that I don't really do fashion anymore, but I kind of think it does go into my work. The amount of materials and clothing and shoes that goes to the landfills or gets shipped in shipping containers and then gets thrown to another country, because every other country is our garbage, our landfill, because we don't have enough places to put this. And obviously certain fabrics will not biodegrade, things that has polyester, man-made materials. So instead of giving it to Goodwill, I thought about like, well, how about I use my parents and my husband and my clothes and stuff like that. And so, and I do give stuff away, but I try to not give as much stuff. So like, this is my mom's old jacket that she really loves. So it's like my mom's energy is there. And then here is a little part of my undies, because I like to use that stuff. And then over here are little things like, this was a keychain.
I'm going to move you guys in a little closer.
And then here's a key here that, keys, where are you going to put the keys? And then back here is a bottle cap. And then over here is like, this was like these pull things that you tighten up stuff. And then buttons. This was from another keychain, but also I have a dog I had passed away. So that's like his honor. And then over there is a skull and things like that. So, but then also my work does move,
I was just going to say, this is the greatest part of it. The way it is set up, it's set up so there's motion.
Yes. So yeah,
it's like life. It's always moving around, it's flexible.
Yes. And I always like to have movement. I like to play with balance. I like to play with movement. And that's something that I really want to continue to explore, as movement and things like that. And then this little guy, was I don't know. I love dolls, and I know sometimes people get freaked out by dolls because, you know, they think they got eyes, but I don't know why this poor little guy was thrown in a tub in some antique store. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna adopt him, and his hair was all chopped up, so I'm gonna rev him up so he's got little dreadlocks going on. And you know, I don't know, I made him like he's like a little prince, you know. I just, you know, I made his little cloak here, and you know, I put his little like as though this is his crown and things like that, and I just use like a handle from you know, water bottles, those big gallons, and then I used bottle caps, and then this is like a, you know, was like a hinge that's all rusted, and then I have like a tweezer here, and then I braided some grocery bags, and yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I don't know, I just talk to him and say, hey dude, what do you think? And he's like, oh, I wanna look like this. So I said, okay, so I gave him a little medal of honor right there, because he is the prince. So I don't know, I just have fun. I just like to play. And
do you have a set way that you start? Like, do you start with like making the metal base and then move from there? Or did you start, you said you found the doll, you were like, well, I've got to make a place for this doll? Or does it vary from piece to piece?
Well, you know, that is a good question. I do start with the metal. Like, I do make metal armatures first, and you know, I make it, and then I look at it, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna decide? I mean, this piece here, this piece goes like up to here. I made it so long ago. It was in my shed forever. And I'm thinking like, well, what am I going to do with it? And then I took it with me when I went to Colorado for a workshop, and it was sitting there, and I'm like, well, I got to do something. And then I had this doll, and I'm like, oh, so sometimes I just, you know, I welded a few more pieces. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to put the doll there. So I just sort of just, I don't know, it's just kind of like, you know, remember those games that there was like tack ball, like you throw it again,
just whatever happens.
Yeah, whatever happens. And sometimes I put it there, sometimes I step back and I take a look at it, and sometimes some of my sculptures, like, oh my god, I can't, I'm not feeling it. So but when I intuitively feel it, then I'm like, okay, I'm happy with it and stuff like that. So yeah, a majority is I make these are like my armatures, and then after that I progress and stuff like that. And then up here, I know you probably can't see it, but
I'm gonna make it so they can see it.
So this piece is like probably my most brand new piece right here. I'm gonna stand here.
I'm gonna have to stand up too.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So basically, this is a plasma cut metal that I plasma cut it, and then after I use a grinder and I grind it. And so this is very different from my other wall hangings that I made. I remember when I went to this workshop and I had Mark Newport as my teacher. And he told me, because I told him I'm struggling with my wall hangings. I'm like, I feel like I'm stuck. So the question that he asked me, he said, Gina, what do you do with your large sculptures that you're not doing with your wall hangings? And I said, oh, play. So that's when I said, okay, so then when I had this piece over there on the welding table, I just brought a bunch of this stuff, and I had a bunch of, you know, metal things, and I'm like, oh, so I started dabbling. I welded this part, and that's it. And then of course you have to cool, because, you know, you don't want to melt the plastic. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to add this little hand over here. It's this little hand, because I like hands. I like body parts. I know sometimes people kind of get weirded out by it. And so then I did that, and I did the same thing I do on my big thing. I had this wire, you know, this thing that we use for a camper that didn't work. And then I start adding buttons, and I have a rubber glove. I have a mask there, you know, because we were in that time, and yarn. And then I have netting, and then another bottle cap. And then I had some leather here and another plastic. And this is some, you know, the inner tubing that I braided and stuff like that. So yeah, I started expanding, and now I'm thinking more about, my next pieces will come off. So I'm going to add a little extension here, because I really am interested in the shadows, because a lot of times shadows play a big part in my work.
That's a really interesting aspect of it too, because the shadows can't be controlled.
No.
And so it makes your work even more interesting, because it's going to change in every house that you're at.
Yes.
Or everybody that has a piece, they're going to exhibit it differently, and so it's going to have different light and different shadows, and it's sort of unique to the person that decides to gravitate towards it. So when you're making pieces like this, have you thought about, and I'm sure that you have, what it is that you're trying to get out of yourself? I mean, there's fun and there's play and all that, but is there something else?
You know, that is a really good question. I don't know, maybe subconsciously I'm thinking about the world, and I'm thinking about global warming. I feel Mother Earth is very angry and she's very upset, and I don't blame her, because if I was her, I would wipe out the whole human race if I was her, because I think that, you know, most humans are not very kind to the planet, and not thinking that we are integrated with each other, because we are in a very volatile time right now. You know, people are very divided. You know, this is my idea and that's my idea, but people don't realize that we are all connected. It doesn't matter what race, what your political views, and what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And, you know, it's a shame that people are not waking up. You know, people are still ignoring. I mean, you look at how hot it is. I mean, Italy and Spain is getting hot. London's getting hot. I mean, that's unheard of. Glaciers are melting. You know, I mean, it's just very frustrating for me. I mean, and then maybe this is my way of being calm and being peaceful by making something beautiful and whimsical. Maybe that's what it is. You know, it's kind of like my therapy, sort of like not to get so angry with humans in general. I mean, I can't say all humans are bad. I know there's a lot of great people that are doing great things. You know, I mean, Jane Goodall, you know, I love that she's helping the primates. I admire her. People that do things for animals and for the planet, I really do admire highly. I mean, those are the ones that I really admire, and I think those people should win prizes, because they are really thinking larger, thinking bigger, you know, thinking that, oh my God, we have to help each other and stuff like that. And, you know, and I just think that, you know, I'm a messenger from above. You know, I feel like I'm very spiritual. Mother Earth is Native American spirituality. I'm very connected. You know, I feel like trees have feeling. I mean, I always think about, like, when you go see an oak tree that's 100-year-old, what have they seen? What can they tell you? If I could just sit there and say, oak tree, tell me stories. I mean, but that's the way I think, you know. I mean, how many people pass a tree and really think like, oh my God, that tree really has feelings and has energy and has feelings? How many people do that? How many people go to the ocean and think about why is the ocean angry? Why the ocean is upset, you know, and things like that. And I just believe that, you know, if we do not wake up, we are doomed. You know, and then, I don't know, maybe you and I, we probably will make it to our old age, and hopefully we'll have a decent senior years, but I don't know what's going to happen with the students I teach. I really am sad that the world that they are growing up, because there's too much social media, there's too much negativity. Kids are growing way too fast. They're not allowed to play. They're not allowed to be their age. They're expected, hey, you're 18, you're an adult already.
Do you think that has something to do with the community that you're serving? Because we were talking about the kids that you actually get to instruct and teach. And by the way, she's an art teacher. Mm-hmm. Do you think that has to do, I mean, we're in Bakersfield now, and you were mentioning that these are the kids of migrant workers for the most part. Do you think a lot of it, I mean, their families must work really hard to get, you know, whatever they get.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that doesn't show up for them
Mm-hmm.
in a way where they don't feel like maybe they have a chance to play or to be a child. You know, they have to move fast too because their family's working hard. So,
well, some of them are privileged. You know, they have parents that give them a lot of stuff, and then there's other ones that they have to move wherever the crop go. They gotta go, you know, and it's hard. They gotta uproot and then they go to another school, and they're there for a few months. Then they uproot and they go to another school, you know. And then I have some kids that, you know, both mom and dad work in the fields, and they are the translator. They are the voice for their parents, you know, because their parents are illiterate. They can't read, they can't write English. Sometimes they don't even read and write their own. They can't even read and write in Spanish. So yeah, I can say that, you know, a lot of them probably feel that is it, that they're going to go to high school and they're going to land up in the fields just like their parents. But then there are some parents that are migrant and they push their kids. Hey, you got to have a better life than me. You need to go to college. And there's been success stories. You know, there has been some kids that are first generation that go to college, being a lawyer, being a doctor. But then there are other kids that want to be a doctor. I remember this one kid in my first year, and I still think about this kid. And he was migrant, did not have his green card, and he wanted to be a doctor. That was his dream. And I always wonder about him. I always wonder if he ever made it to be a doctor. Did he ever get his green card? Because he was a good kid, you know. And some of these kids do have big dreams, but the citizenship is what's pulling them back, you know. And, you know, now with DACA, hopefully kids are applying for that and having that. But we don't know what's going to happen in a few years, if that's going to be a possibility, because it's like the politics in this country goes up and down, and a lot of times people here thinks that these people are taking away their jobs, which I always laugh. I'm like, well, if you don't want them to take their jobs, then go work in the fields. Go be a custodian. Go do this. But a lot of these people do not want to do that job because it's below their standard.
It's also hard, really hard
it's
work.
It's very hard work, working in a 100+ degree, picking. And it's all about, you know, weight, you know, how many boxes they pick, you know. So, you know, those people who think that,
that's how they get paid. They get paid by how fast they are, basically.
Yep, how fast, and, you know, how much they pick. So for those people who think that they're taking their jobs, then go do those jobs and see what happens. Because that's what makes me really angry. You know, I did janitorial jobs. I remember working in a company cleaning like 150 toilets. But I did it because I had to go to school. I wanted to go to college. I had to help my parents. You know, even though my parents, you know, are very, you know, they're not engineers or doctors. You know, my dad worked in a factory. My mom worked in daycare centers. They were just people, you know, trying to make ends meet, but I helped them. I did not say, oh, I can't do this. But nowadays, a lot of kids are very privileged and they get everything. They don't know what the value of $1 is anymore. That's the thing that a lot of parents are lacking. They're not teaching their kids the value of what $1 is. You know, so when they have an iPhone and they get a cracked screen, they think, oh, well, mom and dad will buy me another one. No, they should make the kids buy the phone so they could take care of it. Yeah. And things like that. So,
all right, I'm gonna move you back to art.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I had to philosophize because I'm very passionate about that too.
So your work, I think, is getting more noticed now.
Yes, it is. It is getting a little bit more notice. It's, you know,
what she's not telling you is that her work was actually it was borrowed or paid for, and it was on a TV show.
Yes.
How did they find you? How did that happen?
I'm going to make a guess that I was down in Torrance for a weekend show. It was like a pop-up show. So there was like, I don't know, 200+ artists there. And I'm assuming somebody saw my art there. And I got an email, and I didn't take it seriously at first because, you know, I get a lot of spam mail. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me respond. And then long story short, within a week, we already made an agreement, and in a week I was driving down to LA taking these 2 pieces for Bel Air. It's on Peacock Network. So it was in the beginning of this year. And then after that happened, and then I got in a newspaper, local newspaper, finally I get discovered in local newspaper because somebody went to Bird Dog Arts at Tejon Outlets and they saw my work.
Oh, I've heard about that place.
Yes. And it's a great place. You know, if you never drive through, you really should go. There's a lot of art, a lot of great art, a lot of affordable art.
Just as a side note, she is basically 2 hours away from me in Los Angeles. And to get to her, I have to cross a mountain range.
Yes.
And what we're talking about is the mountain pass, and it's called Tejon Pass. And there is an outlet that opened up there, and they have an art store there now. And basically, it's open for people that. Do you have to pay to be there?
Oh, no.
You just bring in your work, and then they sell it on your behalf, and they get a cut.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a gallery. It's a great gallery. I mean, I think a lot of people should know more about it. I think it's really great. I mean, Dave is a great guy, and I think it's getting. I'm hoping it's going to get more notice. You know, I think that more people should stop because Bakersfield is not very art central. So, and there are artists in Bakersfield, you know, because a lot of times people, when I go to LA, they're like, wow, you drive all the way from Bakersfield? I'm like, well, yeah, I have to if I want to be in the art world, you know, because a lot of times people won't come here, but you came here, so I'm very honored that Natalie made the ride over so that other people can make the ride.
They can do it.
They can do it. It's just the will and the want and the desire.
Yeah.
So it's like me wanting to go over there and desire, so which I do. And so yeah, I just I don't know, I just got lost with the question. What was the question again?
Got it. You don't even remember it anymore.
I know, I just got on a tangent. So but
how are you getting your stuff out?
Oh yeah, so then after I was on Bel Air, and then I got in local newspaper, and then Kristen Varden, she moved to another.
Who is Kristen Varden?
She works for it was 23 News morning show, and she contacted me through Instagram, and I thought it was another thing, and I'm like, what was this? And long story short, within a week or 2, I was on the morning news.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I was very lucky to be on the local news. And so one thing has led to another, and another, because the universe, I think, is making it move around. And I think Daddy upstairs is really working overtime. Say, hey, my daughter's over here, you know, and things like that. So yeah, and local, I got reached out from another possibility. So we'll see if it's meant to be. It will happen.
Do you usually reach out to galleries and offer your stuff, show them your stuff? Is that how you're getting stuff in, or are you just entering like exhibitions, like one piece at a time?
Yeah, I usually do calls and entries, but I really want to start reaching out to galleries and museums, and I am working with an artist down in LA. Her name is Caroline, and she got a group show for us at FOCA. So that's going to be coming. I don't know when, but she just got that. So yeah, I that's how I do it. I have another lady. Her name's Amber, which is a veterans art movement, which I am part of now. And I'm going to have a big show in Chicago at the Cultural Center. So I just returned from Chicago a little over a week ago. We are all veteran artists, and we're going to have a big show. So Amber Zora, as a shout out to you, she's really has helped me a lot. I'm in a show at Blue Star Contemporary in Texas, and now I have a piece down in Oceanside. So if you're down in Oceanside, you can go down.
National. This is awesome.
And I'm trying, and she really helped me. I got a demo fund. It's not official yet, but I did receive the money, so that's going to go be an announcement. And I'm also part of the NEH, which is Humanities through UIC in Chicago. So that's another thing that I'm part of. And so Amber's another person. So what I'm saying way back in the beginning of our conversation is having those people that believe in you. And I know that she really believes in my work. She really believes in what my message is. And so I know more things are to come. So
can you talk about you believing in you? Because, I mean, before other people, I mean, it sometimes happens that other people believe in you more than you believe in you. What do you think is coming first for you? You believing in you, or people believing in you and you meeting the challenge?
No, I really believe in myself. I really believe in myself. I really believe that I have very strong art. I have very strong, beliefs. And I do believe by me believing in myself is being more secure with my art practice has opened up the doors. I think that really has helped me. And I think that's the universe said, yeah, you're ready, and things like that. And I really believe my work should be in museums across the country and internationally. I believe that my work is very well made and very well put together. And but like I said, I'm not a type of person to brag about myself. I'm very humble. I don't like to talk about that stuff, but since you're asking me the question, I'm going to talk about it now.
I'm glad you're answering.
But it's taken me a while. It's taken me a while with my craft, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of, failed projects, failed works. I mean, I still like my early works, but now that I'm welding, it's starting to take off because I can build it bigger. I'm hoping that for the Chicago show, I'm hoping that I can build something that's maybe 10 feet tall.
Ooh.
But I have to figure out how to have it where it comes apart and I can put it together.
I was just going to say, how are you going to get it cross country?
Yeah,
You're going to have to rent a truck or something.
Well, I am going to be driving it in January, which is going to be quite fun, going through Colorado, through the snow, and Chicago. But luckily we have a truck and I'll have a trailer, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully my mom can go with me so we can have the experience together. But yeah, I do believe in myself, and that's when I get really upset when I don't get recognized as much as I should. But I am. It is happening. I always believe the universe will give it to you when you are ready. I really, truly believe it. And I know that maybe 5 years ago, I probably wasn't at that point in my life. But I think me getting married has brought a lot of happiness in my life. And
is this sort of a new thing that you just got married?
Oh, no, I've been married 8 years.
Okay, well, it's not that old.
Yeah. So I think that's really when my work started become more whimsical, more colorful, and I'm very happy that my husband supports me and my art. And I think that's really important, that balance.
Do you think that getting married changed your art?
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. In what way?
It's a lot more colorful. It's not dark.
So this is interesting to me because it's sort of reflective of maybe how you were feeling before as opposed to how you're feeling now.
Yeah. If you looked at my work, which is on my website, you have to look at older work. A lot of it was very monochrome, very dark. It was just one color.
And now, I mean, there's pink, there's red, there's every color of the rainbow in these things.
Yeah.
And reflective surfaces, which, it gives the viewer this chance to see themselves in it and try it on.
Yeah. And also too, I think being out of the military, I can talk more freely. I can say what I want to say now, because I'm not in it anymore. So I'm very happy. And so it's a sense of cutting certain things. It's almost like a bird getting caught on a wire.
Yeah.
And you're cutting that. Okay, now I'm free and I can spread my wings. And I also had to go through a lot of transformation and within myself. There was a lot of things I had to go through, a lot of darkness, and getting more into my spirituality and believing in myself and stuff like that. And I thank everybody, if you see it one day, this video, that everybody that was on my journey to help me get here, because you can't do it by yourself. No, you have to.
It's a process, not just for you, but for all the people around you too.
Exactly.
It's part of their process.
Yes. So, I am very happy where I'm at. I'm very lucky, and I think that's the thing too, is being thankful each and every day for what we have. I'm able to open my eyes. I'm able to smell. I'm able to use my hands. I'm able to think. And I think a lot of times people don't give thanks enough for what they have. Even though you might live in a little tiny shack, but it's a roof over your head because there's someone in a third world countries that does not have it.
Yeah. All right. I see there's some questions. Let's see what's going on here. All right. Hello from Tamara. Hello, hello. Nice piece on the table behind you. Yes, we've spoken about that. Hello, people. Hello, hello, hello. Karen, Sandy says, thank you for all you did for us. I think she was referring to your military service.
Oh, well, thank you, Sandy.
Golden Pine says, looking great, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
Clifton, where is her website?
Well, my website is www.gina, Gina, Herrera, HERRERA.com. So Gina Herrera is one word.
I can't believe you got that website because your name is not uncommon.
Yeah, I don't know. I was lucky to get it. And then my Instagram handle is Gina.Herrera, HERRERA1. And that's my Instagram handle.
I'll post it for you guys later so that you guys can see it.
Yes.
Yeah, because they'll be interested. And are you active on Facebook?
Yes, I am active.
Okay.
I try on Instagram, but Instagram is like, oh my God.
It's like a whole different animal.
Yeah, so I have to figure out, sometimes they cross and whatever. So I'm working on that. So yeah, I'm on Facebook. But like I said, there's going to be that big celebration. I think it's October 29th at Oceanside, I think. So I'll probably post that. And so yeah, and I have a piece in Shockbox Gallery. That's down in Hermosa Beach. If anybody's down there, you can go down there. I have a piece down there too. So I think that's coming down, I think next week. So if you're in that area, you can go see that.
There's not so many Californians on this page. It's very interesting.
No, but anyways, it's cool.
But if you're here.
If you're here and things like that. And this piece behind you won honorable mention in Lancaster Museum. So I was very proud about that. So yeah, anybody that's international, if you know of any galleries or anybody that's interested in whimsical work, let me know. I would be very happy to be part of that too.
Get rid of that. There we go. I'll be looking at both. Thank you. That's what Clifton says. Clifton's in Detroit.
Well, thank you, Clifton. I know
fellow Central.
Yeah, Detroit's coming up and coming, I heard. So it's a lot of. I might be able to start an artist colony. So
you never know.
You never know. So,
so are you hoping then in the future that you've already talked about hoping to be in museums and have your work more widely known. Are you hoping to maybe teach people to learn how you do what you do, or is that not so important to you?
Well, I'm willing to do workshops. I've done workshop, teaching using recyclables, and that's what I do with my 3D design at Bakersfield College. But my ultimate dream is once I have enough money, I want to buy a big plot of land somewhere. I don't know exactly where. The universe will direct me. And I want it to be an animal sanctuary / art residencies.
Interesting.
So that whoever attends the art residency have to love animals, and they will partake in duties like playing with the animal, giving them baths, taking them for walks. And I would love to have a full-time 1 or 2 veterinarians and veterans. I can't even speak.
You were there, veterinarian.
Veterinarian assistants. That work there full time. I know I have a couple students that are being you know what I mean. I'm getting tongue tied. But that is my dream. That is my dream to have that. So that'd be my legacy. So have a foundation that will operate and support it when I pass on, because cool. Animals are very, very important to me.
You have a bag or a box of stuff that you just examples of what you like to collect in order to use in your work.
Yep.
Straws.
Yep.
Yeah, straws.
Yep. Straw, and then things.
Meat packaging.
So a lot of this, where the bulkiness comes, is stuff that I put inside to make it bulky. So that's where all of these recyclables, or sometimes the hangers will come out, and I wrap them up like that. So I cut this up. I use these things and things like that to.
That's a good idea to create width and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll use yarn and I'll go around it and things like that. So yeah. So I collect a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff I take to school and have my kids use and teach them that, you know, you don't need a lot of fancy art materials to make art.
Have you become more of a pack rat since doing this?
Yeah, a little bit. So.
I mean, your studio looks very clean to me, and it's super organized around here. And I mean, everything's got a place, and it doesn't look to me like you've got too much stuff. You know, there's people that you walk in and you're like, oh my God, you've got stuff for days and you're still hunting. Please stop.
Yeah.
but it does not feel like that in here at all.
No, I try to keep it organized because it gives me a little bit of sanity here, because otherwise, I mean, when I do make my art, it does kind of get crazy, and I have my table and it's like, oh my God. But I don't know, it's like I create with chaos. You know, like I have to have a little chaos, and then afterwards, once I'm done, I'm like, okay, it's time to clean and organize because it's like driving me crazy.
It's like a restart.
Yeah, a restart. Yeah. So that's what I do. Like outside, you know, where I have my welding, you know, I try to keep it organized, but then I have to sort it out. Like all my small metal pieces here, all my little things that maybe I need for something, and I put it there. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let's check the time. How are we doing? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Try again. People are texting me. Oh, okay. We're getting close to an hour here. Is there anything that you'd like to add? I mean, anything you want people to know, people to think about? Anything?
Well, I just want you all to think about what is your global footprint. Think about how much you are consuming and how much are you wasting, and are you a good global citizen? Because I think that if all of us did one little thing, we could make a difference, like taking a shower and turning off the water. Think about the products you buy, because the dollar is very powerful. You can choose where you want to buy your products. Who are the corporations that you are buying from? You know, I try to buy like my bath products and my perfumes from, you know, companies that are ethically correct. You know, they don't test on animals, you know, like they recycle their plastics. So I try to do, I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do have
it's hard to be.
It is hard, but I do drive an electric car. Hoping to buy another one. Trying to keep my air condition at a, you know, not too cold, so I don't have to pay so much money in electricity. I converted my front yard into a desert landscape, so I don't have no grass.
Thank you. We were driving through and we were like, why do these people have all this lawn here? It's
exactly.
Crazy. It's so warm here.
Yeah, it's going to be like 107 today.
Yeah.
So, but I also wish the government would do more incentive to entice people. Like, hey, we'll give you $3,000 if you take your grass on and convert it. Because I know other states are doing it. You know, like Nevada's like, I mean, there is a lot of water shortage. I mean, water will be in a new war. You know, and it's sad. And so people need to be awake. We need to start waking up to what's going on and stop fighting with each other about dumb things that doesn't matter. You know, gun rights doesn't matter. I mean, having a gun is not going to help global warming. You're not going to shoot Mother Earth. It's not going to. She's not going to change her mind, because Mother Earth is the most powerful entity. If she wants the two oceans to come together, she will do it. But we can prevent it if we help respect nature and pick up our garbage and try to lessen our garbage and be kind to each other and be respectful of each other. Say good morning. Hi, you look nice today. You know, because you may change that person from committing suicide. Because there's a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety going on, especially among the young people. So I just think that we need to be kind to each other and stop being so angry and bitter and thinking that it's all about you. It's not all about you. It's about us. It's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world that is affecting everybody. You know, I mean, look at COVID. It affected everybody and things like that. So, you know, it just doesn't matter. You know, if things happen, it's going to happen. It's going to affect us one way or another. So
you might as well be a good global citizen while you're out here.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to call this done. succulents are wonderful and abundant. Clifton
Yes.
wanted you to know that.
Yes, I have a lot of those, Clifton. I drive my husband crazy with all the plants. My house will look like a rainforest, but it's good.
It's all good. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I hope you like this. And somebody else will be on next week. It'll be exciting. See y'all later.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.